everybody? I'm David Van Dyke. This is Polyrhythm Music LLC, and we're going to do another Talking Heads video. Because I don't know why this has become a growing trend, but apparently on YouTube now, the thing to do is to complain that big artists don't go on your YouTube channel, your page, whatever. Rick Beato did a video about it. Rockfeed did a video about it, which was kind of odd, I thought. But apparently, like, Rick Beato's point was, I get more views than, like, national cable network talk shows. And yet I can't get certain people on my YouTube channel. So we're going to dive into that from the perspective of an artist who is creating it. Like, I'm creating an album probably about a year away from release. Thinking about marketing, thinking about how I want this to go and roll out and things. You know, we're going to kind of get a little insight onto that and kind of explain maybe why these large artists don't go on YouTube channels. So that's the discussion today. First up, I want to real quickly touch on quick updates. Sold our house, getting ready to move, be out of here within a month to the new spot, which means new setup, new everything. No more chickens in the background, no more planes of red. Thank you. That'll be awesome. Secondly, but more importantly, I live in North Carolina, so I know all about the hurricane that just came through, and it didn't seem like it was that bad at the time. Just a whole lot of rain, really heavy rain, and a lot of really strong wind for sustained amount of times. Lost power for about 24 hours maybe. But there are people, you know, in Western North Carolina that really got slammed. And so thoughts out to them, you know, best wishes. If you can donate something, you know, the Red Cross is having to airdrop into Asheville because all the bridges and things are knocked out. So they're kind of cut off from the world. And I'm sure it's just hell on earth. So if you can help out, do. There's some people that really need it. And, you know, we were fortunate, and I'm thankful for that. I'm very aware of that. So that's the updates. Here we go. So like I said, Rick Beato posts a video and says, like, I think it was David Gilmour won't ever be on my channel. You know, why do people go on Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel or Fallon? Couple reasons, I think. Number one is time. When you go on a YouTube channel, it's kind of the Wild West. I can ask you anything I want. And, you know, there can be assurances to your team. And yes, most musicians have team. We have to keep in mind when we're talking about this. I need you to keep this in mind. From this moment forward, everything we're going to be talking about, I need you to think about the word band or music or musician, singer, whatever, as a business, because that's what it is. It's called the music business, okay? So, if I'm promoting my business, all right, because that's what you're doing, you're selling your brand. When he's sitting on the couch talking to Colbert or Fallon, they're not doing so singing the song. Like, that's a performance for later. In that moment, they're selling, this is me. You know, you want to tune into me, because I've got something to say in my music, via my movie, whatever the case may be. Throughout 50, 60 years of talk shows, they have learned the art of boiling it down to a very short amount of time, getting a great soundbite that makes you look the best. They're going to ask you questions. They're going to make you look good. They're going to set you up to tell interesting stories, give interesting answers. When you come on YouTube, I can ask you anything, regardless of the assurances that I may have made to your team, which of course you could always, you know, shut down and walk off, but then you're dealing with this YouTuber may put that clip up and then I look like an asshole. You don't want that. So there's a formula to late night TV. There's reasons that the segments are, you know, 6-8 minutes. They're looking for sound bites for the show, but they're also doing so to help you. You don't hear tough questions usually. You hear set up, knockdown, set up, knockdown. I'm so interesting. I look so great. You should buy my product. You know, you think that story was cool? You know, I dealt with this really rough breakup and it was hard, and that's what this album is about. Well, if this 30-second clip that I just gave you, or this 2-minute clip I just gave you, is really interesting and intriguing, then man, what's he gonna say when he's got an hour on an album? Like, what's his music gonna be like? It's all designed to sell you quickly, okay? And a lot of these people don't have time. You know, a Taylor Swift has no time. You know, like they have to build time in for her to do normal things. So your company is on there trying to make the most of the time that they have in a day, and that's why they do it on a, you know, most YouTube channels want to do long form things. I had Peter Conley on. If you haven't, from The Cost, if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. It's on the channel, and I had 30 minutes to an hour maybe. And I could have talked to Peter, you know, we were having Wi-Fi issues and things, but I could have talked to him all day. Like, just a genuinely good dude, and like understands music and has a very similar philosophy that I do. But, you know, I asked him before we started rolling, like, how much time do I have? You know, and he's like, let's keep it to an hour. I'm in the studio. And he was literally sitting, he did the entire thing with his phone sitting on a piano while he's waiting on the engineer to mix some things down so that he can then start back to doing the next take on The Cost work. So, time. That's one reason that they go to legacy TV shows and you know, major corporations. And again, I'm going to look down. I've got some notes. Y'all know the drill. Advertising. This is the big one, okay? Because, yes, I know that on here, you know, on YouTube, you have advertisers, and we're going to cut to one here in a second because we've got to add this week from Fume. But we'll cut to that in a second. I'm not going to do it right this second. But it's not Coke. It's not McDonald's. It's not major brands. You know, Fume's a great brand. I love working with them. Thank them so much for what they've done for the channel. You know, but when you're talking about, you know, like BetterHelp is a great one. Like, there are great brands on YouTube who are really using the digital market to promote their thing because this is the market they want. You're their audience. But they're not billion-dollar companies usually. You know, Coke doesn't see the use in it yet. You know, when have you clicked on a YouTube video and seen, you know, a Pepsi commercial? Like, I haven't seen it. Maybe they do it and I just don't know about it. But, and I know what you're saying. Well, like, being on that show doesn't make you connected with Coke. Well, you're right. But being on the show, you know, if they cut to break and come back and you're going to be on for segment 2 as well, or your performances after the break, subconsciously, people don't watch shows very intently at that time of night usually, especially not those shows, because we all know the formula. We're familiar with it. So you hear it and it clicks in and you start associating things. Here's a prime example. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, I did a cover. I draw comic books for a living. I drew a cover for Kevin Smith, my buddy, Silent Bob, for his Quick Stops books. And on my cover, when I finished the cover, I was told, you know, what they wanted, you know, what Kevin wanted, and I drew it. But the one thing I had complete freedom of is where I'm going to sign my name. And they had sent me the layout for what the, you know, all the copy would be on the book. And I realized that the only place for them to put the credits, where they're going to put Kevin Smith, the writer, you know, whoever drew it, blah, 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 would be over here. So I signed my name on my artwork right above where that block would be. So that when you read my name, as far as the artist goes, I knew that Kevin's name's over here. So it would be, you would read my name and then you would see Kevin Smith, and subconsciously it would connect the two. You would think Kevin Smith, David Van Dyke, David Van Dyke, Kevin Smith. Luckily, Kevin's a great guy and he's a buddy of mine. You know, we text back and forth from time to time. So, you know, that worked out. But that's still yet, from a professional standpoint, exactly what I wanted worked, because I did get, you know, that kind of tie together in my career. But when you're on a talk show, you know, it's a twofold thing. Association, because you get associated with big brands. I'm not saying that people are going to look at a Coke and think of, you know, whatever band, you know, name whatever the band is biggest, you know, Imagine Dragons, let's just say. You're not going to see Coke and think Imagine Dragons, but what you will think is Imagine Dragons is higher level because they're association, okay? Guilt by association, that type thing. So, in that space, you're going to be associated with these bigger brands, which is what you want. You are a business. You're selling a brand, okay? You're not an artist in that space. You're a brand, and you need your brand to be associated with larger brands in any way you can. So, that helps, even subconsciously. But second, the number two thing, which I'm going to get into right after we do our own brand. So stick around real quick for a sponsor break, and then we're going to come back. Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to break in real quick and tell you about our sponsor, Fume. Fume is this wonderful product that's helping you create good habits. If you're like me, you got a ton of bad habits, you need some good ones. Well, here's a great place to start. So you've probably seen this around, and this is the Fume. Basically, it's flavored cores that you load in, and you can control the strength of the flavor by the adjustment here. So a lot of air, a little bit of air. But the great thing is that's all it is. It's just air. It's not a vape. It's not any other kind of device that pumps chemicals into your body. This is just air blowing across a flavored core. They've got great flavors, like they just launched Peach Blush. Oh, if you like peach, this is for you. They've also got, where is it? They have a ton of flavors. I mean, as you can see, this isn't even all of them. They've got this new retro sweets pack. So like the cinnamon hearts candy that you know, like the spicy cinnamon heart you would get at Valentine's Day, tastes just like it. And the great thing is, it's also a fidget. So if you have a hand habit, this is for you. It clicks in and out so you can click it. It also grinds when you spin it, so it gives you something to mess with if you have a hand habit that you're trying to break. They also are putting out these tips now that are like a silicone tip so you can chew on it if you want. If you're like a cigar smokers, chew on the tips. These are made for that. So swing by, check out tryfume.com/David98211. That's David98211. Hit that at checkout. You're going to get 10% off. Check out Fume, man. It's a cool product, and it's great for like when you're in the studio. You can't have a lot of smoke and things in the air because of the equipment. You know, or you're in your rehearsal space, and you know, you're trying to be respectful of everybody around. This is a great thing to have laying on your amp right at the ready or in your pocket, and makes an awesome guitar slide. I'll do a video on that later. Definitely check out tryfume.com/David98211. Get 10% off your first order at the checkout. Thanks to Fume for all the love they've been showing us, and definitely give them a shot. Let me know what you think. Later. So, thank you, Dave from the past. Thank you for going to fume.com. Try Fume. The second big thing with advertising like that is association with the brands can land you deals with those brands. Maybe Coke, sees it sees you on the show, and you've already done something where their ad followed your live performance, and they think, man, that worked out well. We should use their song. Well, there's a revenue stream, excuse me. So that's another big one. Having that those brands tie you in on the same level, because if you're on this talk show, you must be this good because you're on the show. And we advertise on that show, and you're on the show performing, we should mix the two. Synergy. That used to be the big thing, right? So, and I'm not saying that happens all the time, but it does happen. The opportunity is there for that to happen. Okay? And that's all you're going for when you go on these shows. On a YouTube show, I decide where we're going to put the ad breaks at. I decide which brands are going to be advertising. You don't know from week to week who's going to be advertising on what, which shows are going to be advertising the same. Usually, like if BetterHelp's advertising, they'll advertise for, a good chunk of time. That one just keeps popping in mind because it's the most prevalent one I see right now, which is awesome. It should be. I would love to work with them if I get the chance. But you never know. Like, I could have BetterHelp one week, Fume one week, YouTube's the Wild West in that way. And as a brand and you're looking for a source of income down the road, you're trying to associate with bigger brands and consistency. So it's all about legacy too. These terms, Tonight Show, people grow up wanting to be on the Tonight Show. They live their lives hoping that one day they can make it to the Tonight Show. Now, does Rick Beato get more views than the Tonight Show? Absolutely. But in our community, in the music community, if I say I was on Rick Beato's show, people go like, whoa, awesome. But if I say I'm on the Tonight Show, if I say that to my mom, my mother doesn't know who Rick Beato is, but she knows what the Tonight Show is. And that's the difference. The Tonight Show used to be a place where if you did the Tonight Show, you were famous tomorrow, even if no one had ever heard of you. And it's a legacy thing. We all know this. We've all had it ingrained. Kids don't grow up wanting to be on a YouTube show. Not yet. Now they will. That day is coming. And there are going to be kids who are growing up right now wanting to be in a Mr. Beast video and all this. Of course, I want to meet Ryan Trahan. Of course, don't we all? He's so cute. But they do grow up right now. We're in a transition period. I'm Gen X, and I feel like our generation has dealt with more transitions from old to new. I can associate with the old. I know how it used to be to not have cell phones and internet, and I knew what life was like then. But I've also seen the transition to having them. And so it's a similar thing. There will come a day when big bands are going to, aspire, and bands are going to aspire to be on YouTube shows. And, in our community, we know how important these things are, but we're not there yet, I don't think. But the Tonight Show, the Late Show, these are things that are in the zeitgeist. And they always will be. They're part of, the lexicon of this country and entertainment. And so there's still a part of this of our society that sees those things as a status. If you're on the Tonight Show, you must be famous. And a lot of these bands and people, when you're talking David Gilmour's and things like that from, Pink Floyd, they remember the days of the Tonight Show being the biggest thing ever. They don't remember Rick Beato doing an awesome video. But he has. He's amazing. And yes, he's going to get more views. But it's a status thing. It's an association thing. Again, it goes back to that being associated with big-time brands. You want to be associated with big brands. You want to be a big brand because you're a business. Again, you have to remember that. And being on those major networks is a legitimacy thing in a lot of ways. You know they're legitimate. They spend millions of dollars just to produce this thing. And they've been there for 50, 60 years. And being a part of that makes you legitimate in a way. At least it appears that way. So that's why you would prefer to be there versus a YouTube channel that some people or the general audience that you're going for doesn't know. We know because we're in the music space, we're online, we have our own little clique. You guys are amazing. You're part of the Polyrhythm family. And we're all a part of Rick Beato's family. But, if I go to the restaurant, if I go to McDonald's and ask somebody like, hey man, did you check out that Rick Beato video? Maybe they know. I doubt it. Probably not. So, but if I say, hey, did you see the Tonight Show? Yeah. Did you see Jimmy Fallon? Yeah. Colbert? Yes. Final point is the relationship that you can build with ABC, CBS, these major networks. Now, I know that cable's a dying form because streaming and internet has taken over the world. But these are major studios. They control what movies are made. They control what TV shows are made. And if you show up and you build a good rapport with the network, every time we need you, you are there. You perform on time. You're professional. That can lead to a whole other world for your brand. Again, we have to remember we're a business. Movies, TV shows, more ads. You can be vouched for. Not to say that a major network would vouch, but they will. They'll pass you along. Foo Fighters had Dave Grohl, and they would have gotten big just off of that. But do you think it didn't help that, he did Letterman, and Letterman liked him? Of course it helped. It gave them an in. And the Foo Fighters every time they put a new album out, they get used with, their new hit song gets used all over the place for every ad and thing. That's not by accident. I mean, maybe not now with the whole Dave Grohl may have had a child out of wedlock. May have, I don't know. Haven't dug into it. Don't really care. So you want to have lucrative opportunity like that. You want to work with big corporations because you want your brand to get that legitimacy. And it can happen. So if I do Rick Beato's show, yes, more people are going to see me, and that may lead to more streams, but it may not. If I do Colbert, CBS likes me. They have infinite opportunities they could offer me. And that's not to say doing Rick Beato will lead nowhere. Of course, I'm sure there are sponsors and things that you can get from doing a Rick Beato or a rock feed. But name a band, an up-and-coming band, or up-and-coming artist that has done rock feed or Rick Beato and it blew them up, made their career. But you can for the Tonight Show. Elvis, the Beatles. The Beatles were big, but they did the Tonight Show and went to the stratosphere. It changed, massively. And they were already big. Paul McCartney says he's never been to America without being famous, but that was a different level of fame, and it could go even higher, and they found out. So, I mean, that's just my thoughts on why people are, some people won't do YouTube stuff. There's a legitimacy thing with big major corporations, and being a YouTube channel. Like, we're not there yet, but we're getting there with people like Rick Beato, with like Rockfeed, polyrhythm music. One day I hope to be to those levels, and with the help of you guys, I can do it. So we're really trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so that we can give a guitar away, which is what we're going to do. So help us get to 1,000. You can win a guitar. All you have to do is be subscribed, like the video, like a video, and share the videos. Tag me on Instagram, polyrhythmmusicllc. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Am I right? Am I wrong? What do you think? Why would you launching your record choose to do, legacy, let's call it legacy TV versus a YouTube thing? Or would you rather do a YouTube thing? Like, do views matter more versus all the things I just mentioned in regular TV? Let me know what you think. I love to have this talk. And if you could, give me a subscribe, give me a like. Help us get to 1,000, man. We're giving a guitar away. Like, do you want a guitar? Because if you do, you could win one. I'll even pay to ship it to you. But you got to help us get to 1,000, man. Tell your friends, tell your family. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Check back. For the rest of this month, we're probably going to be doing talking head videos, which is kind of good because I can do more of them. But we're kind of going to roll it because, again, sold the house, we're moving, all these things. So while we're doing all the things, probably going to stick with this format for the rest of the month. And then next month, once we get settled into the new spot, we're going to roll out some new music footage and lessons and things like that. We are also offering a performance coaching class. So if you want to take that, it is 30 minutes to an hour long with me. You send me your stuff, you perform live, whichever you want to do. I'll critique you, tell you how you can be a better performer. And that could go for not just musicians. If you work in a business setting and you want to, be a better speaker at work, you want to be able to give better dynamic, whatever they call them, because I don't work in an office, presentations. I knew the word all along. I'm not as dumb as I think I am. So if you want to take part in that, shoot us an email, polyrhythmmusicllc@gmail. Hit me up and we'll get your pricing and everything on that. Let me know what you want to do, 30-minute, hour. We're offering them weekly or bi-weekly or one time a month. You can do a one-time thing, but, like anything, the more lessons you take, the better you get. So hit me up if you're interested in that. Give me a like and subscribe. Help us get to 1,000 so we can give that guitar away, and then we're going to give away more awesome stuff. We still have a couple shirts left for the move. I'm going to discount shirts down $20. So again, if you're interested, Polyrhythm Music LLC. Thank you guys so much. You guys have been amazing to us this past month while we've been working on trying to get the home sold and all these things. You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Check out Fume. Definitely give them some love. They've been helping us out a lot. And I will see you guys next time.